Hello, this is Billy Schrader with ATG USA, and today we are going to take a quick look at Showcase, a part of the Building Design Suite, just a way to utilize one of the tools that you already own, maximize on your investment, and be able to provide some additional value to your clients. So to start with today, we are going to work with a file that I created in the Revit 2014 software. This was fully modeled inside of Revit. We used the native materials available there, as well as set the 3D view that we're going to initially work with inside of Showcase. We have many options available to us. We can open the Revit file natively. Quite honestly, that does take a little bit longer, so I have chose the other option of exporting this out to an FBX file, and I'm going to open that directly from the Showcase interface. So here I'm selecting the Showcase FBX file, and we're going to open this. Now this conversion process will take approximately 45 seconds, so we're probably going to edit that out of the video as to not bore you with that. This file was created solely inside of Revit. All of the modeling is done with the Revit interface. Showcase does not offer the opportunity to do modeling inside of it. It's strictly for altering the materials and creating storyboards and so forth. Once again, we're going to work with the native Revit objects. What we'll notice when this file opens is that we get the default 3D view as an option. Now the project that we're working here is with an interior scene, so you will notice when this model opens up that we do not have the entire building, but mainly just the room, the internal space that we're going to work with. The outside of the building doesn't look like much at this point. Since I've exported this out as an FBX file, one of the first options that we have to look at inside of the Showcase file is the ability to look at saved shots for this project. So I'm going to switch on this look icon and go to my available shots, and we'll see the exact view that I had named inside of Revit, the 3D view 1. So I'm going to double click on that, and we'll see the camera switch to the interior view. Now just for comparison's sake, I'm going to switch back to the Revit file so that you can see the camera that was set there with 3D view 1. Now while it's not zoomed out exactly, we have a couple of different ways we can zoom and maneuver the camera inside of the Showcase environment. We can simply use the arrow keys. The up or down keys will move the camera forward and backward, and then to move left and right we'll just use the appropriate arrow keys. So we can position that however we like to in the scene to get a more descriptive shot or focus on a particular design detail that we want to portray to our client. Now once we have this view set up, you'll notice all of the Revit materials come across as well. So all of the materials in the scene at this point are out of the default Revit catalog, with the exception of the paint that is displayed as the accent color on the wall and the ceiling as well. Those are materials that were pulled directly from Autodesk Seek, and they are Sherwin-Williams paint colors. So if you have not experimented with that site and the materials you can bring in, I strongly encourage you to do so. Inside of the Showcase environment, we can select individual components. Another option that we have is that we can right click on that object and search for all objects with that same material. An additional option that we have working inside of Showcase is the option of working with the organizer. When we open the organizer, we can see the file that's listed. We can expand that and see a list of all the items that were modeled inside of the Revit file. Now you can see that that list does get a little busy and a little complicated, and it's a little hard to tell what is what. One option that we have for doing that is I can select an item inside of the view. We do see it highlight inside of the list. The way that I leverage this tool is if I select an item in the design and I right click on that item, I have the ability to select all objects with that particular material. So whenever I do that, for example, we can see everything in this file that has the oak material applied to it. So it selects all of those items. I have an option here in the organizer where I can group together all items that are selected. So whenever I do that, it's going to create a new heading, which I can then double click on that option, I can change that to something a little more meaningful for me. So it's just a way that I can kind of group and, as the name implies, just kind of organize those things. So that is an option that's available to me. Quite honestly, I don't always use that tool, mainly when I'm working inside of Showcase. Kind of what my intent here is just to manipulate these materials and maybe switch these out and get a little nicer look than what the native Revit materials do for me. I'm going to show that real quick. I simply select an item inside of the design of a particular material, and I will go ahead and select all objects with that material, and then I'm going to open up the material library. So inside of the material library, we'll see that we have a couple of different options available to us. We have our standard Autodesk materials. We also have Showcase materials and Showcase Extended. So if I drop down this list, we can see broad categories of different types of materials that are already defined and available to us. My primary goal for working with this model inside of the Showcase environment is the ability to quickly and efficiently switch out materials and show different design alternates to my client. By doing this inside of Showcase, Showcase allows me to do this without having to go back into Revit, redefine the assemblies of the materials, or having to go in and paint materials on those individual items. So here we're going to look at how we can quickly grab the face of an item, select all objects with this material, and then open up our material library to make some quick substitutions. Now, inside the material library, we see that we have three different material libraries to choose from. We have our standard Autodesk materials, Showcase materials, and Showcase Extended. Within each one of these, we can expand that list and we'll see a wide variety of classifications of materials. So for this particular element that I have, the wood trim around this space, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of that. You'll see a variety of different woods that we have available, and I'm going into the wood oak option, and we can see that we have a variety of different stain options available. So I'm quickly going to grab the wood oak with the more of a red natural low gloss finish, and we'll see that update within the model. Likewise, I can grab the painted surfaces, grab all those materials, and once again we will scroll up. We'll see some paint options for architectural, and let's go ahead and paint that accent color with this brindle option here. Now whenever I do that, we notice that where the wall's cleaned up in the corner, it actually did not do the face of that, so we can just select that item individually and once again apply that material. Now likewise, I'm going to continue to go around the scene, grab additional items, and just make some quick substitutions. In this example here, we have some glazing that comes in by default from the Revit Materials. The one I like to work with, which I think looks a little bit nicer in the scene, is the Glazing Blue Reflective. So we can continue to do that as much as we like inside this environment. The floor, for example, let's go ahead and grab that. I don't necessarily have floor materials listed in the Showcase Extended, but if I scroll down to the Autodesk Materials, we can see that I can pull from that library as well. So that's a little bit of an advantage over working with those materials inside of Revit. It's worth noting that when we bring a model into Showcase from Revit, the RPC content does not come across. So in the previous Revit file, I did have some trees and landscaping outside of this window that should appear in the scene. Showcase makes this very easy for us to go ahead and recreate that without having to add those modeling elements. For this particular example, I'm going to select the grass field option. As this establishes inside of the model, we're going to see that appear outside of the windows. Notice if I pivot that around, I can see through the windows and I can see that outside environment. In order to correct the reflection that we have of the environment on the inside walls, we can easily select that material, go to our material properties, and turn off the ability to show those reflections. So for any item in the scene that we want to turn off the reflections, we can begin to fine-tune the scene by selecting individual items and looking at their material properties. Now that we have modified some of the materials on the individual items, we're either ready to reposition the view, render this scene, or begin to define design alternatives. For design alternatives, we can easily set up different options of finishes for this interior space. So here I'm going to click and create a material lineup, and I'm going to add 2 alternates. In the first alternate, I'm going to select the trim material, and I'm just going to grab all of the wood trim at that point. I'm going to add the selection to alternate 2. Now I'm going back and I'm going to select this material, and this time in the material library I'm going to substitute that, and this time I just want to show an example of maybe some painted wood trim work that we have in this space. So for this particular one, let me just do a light beige for the trim work, and I'm going back and apply that to alternate 1. So what that has done for me, it provides me a way that I can quickly switch between the 2 options that I have. So if I want to show this space to a client and show a couple of different interior finish options, very easily for me to set those up, and then the ability just to switch back and forth between those. This video has been a brief introduction into Showcase. We began with a Revit file, exported out to FBX, brought directly into Showcase. Once inside of Showcase, we were able to select individual faces of items or groups of items by materials. Once we had that selection, we were able to apply materials from a comprehensive catalog of library materials. Once we had those items selected, we were able to quickly switch those materials over to default materials provided in the Showcase library. Once we'd applied those materials, we were able to quickly set up design alternatives. These design alternatives provide a quick and easy way which we can show different interior finish configurations to portray our design to our clients. There's many more facets of Showcase that we can explore, such as visual styles, rendering, creating cinematic shots, creating storyboards, and publishing this out to share with our customers. If you'd like a more in-depth look at the topics we covered today, or any of the additional items that are available inside of Showcase, please contact us at training@atgusa.com.